beneath the southern sky. Better to see something once than hear about it 1,000 times. Asian proverb. December 2018. I set the GPS for a campsite overlooking the Marlborough Sounds, where I camped for the first night. I structured my trip around the weekly Tai Chi classes that I taught in the local libraries or the campgrounds that provided internet connection. The rest of the week I spent camping in nature, where the lack of phone reception allowed me to fully immerse myself in the beauty surrounding me. I stopped the car whenever I found a soulful vista to film an inspirational video log. I spoke to my future viewers about cultivating happiness and joy anywhere, and about how love lies on the other side of fear. The words I spoke felt true because I was living them. I felt so happy and grateful for the beauty that surrounded me while I traveled through the South Island. I based my talks on a book I picked up in a secondhand bookstore in Wellington called You Can Be Happy No Matter What by Richard Carlson. At night, by the light of my camping light, I took notes on what I wanted to share the next day. I stayed a few days in each spot until I reached the West Coast. The area was known for its rough weather, long beaches, and striking rock formations. I stayed 40 minutes north of Westport at the Gentle Annie Campground. The rugged coast and the friendly community made it a place I didn't want to leave. The property was named after Gentle Annie, a cow whose story was part of the campground's charm. Each day I packed my gear and walked along the beach to a path that climbed to a hilltop where the coastline stretched out before me. The sound of waves crashing against the rocks carried up to where I stood, while seabirds called in the distance. I set my camera to capture the cliffs and the sea, which was the perfect backdrop for my students. In the evenings I worked in the cafe, editing my videos in what had once been Gentle Annie's cowshed. It had been transformed into a cozy space with wooden tables, soft lighting, and the steady murmur of travelers talking over coffee, cake, and hot chocolate. Sometimes I joined in the conversations, sharing stories of my travels and listening to theirs. One evening, a family of 4 seated nearby started talking to me. They were from Auckland and had been traveling around the South Island for 2 weeks. "Do you really teach Tai Chi?" the mother asked. "I do. It's been a great way to connect with nature while sharing something I love," I replied, smiling. As we talked, another conversation caught my attention. "Did you see the seal colony at Cape Foulwind?" one father exclaimed. "It was incredible. The pups were so cute," his daughter joined in. I turned to him, caught up in his excitement. "Wow, that's so cool." Just then, the mother chimed in. "Let's plan to hike the Heafy Track tomorrow. I've heard it's beautiful this time of year." The mention of a new trail caught my attention, and I leaned in closer. "Excuse me, but where is the Heafy Track?" "It's in Kaurangi National Park," she replied. "It's about a 3-hour drive from here, but the scenery is worth it." I frowned slightly. "Oh, that sounds amazing, but it's too far for me to drive there and back in a day. I would love to go, though." Just then I noticed a 20-something boy who appeared to be traveling alone and was listening to our conversation. The young man approached with a friendly smile. "Hey, I couldn't help but overhear your conversation about the Heafy Track," he said. "Are you planning to go?" "I wish. It sounds spectacular, but it's too far for me. I can't go alone," I told him. Then I had an idea. "Would you like to do the drive with me? We could head out early on Christmas Day." "That would be great," he said. "Let's do it." "Really? That's fantastic." I was surprised that he accepted my offer. "It will be great to share Christmas Day with someone and explore a new place. I look forward to that," I said to him. That night as I worked, the warm atmosphere and steady buzz of voices grounded me and fueled my creativity. Moving from place to place often left me feeling lonely, but in Gentle Annie's cowshed, listening to the conversations, I felt like I was a part of something and not completely on my own. It reminded me that even without a fixed home, I could still feel connected. I stayed there through Christmas and New Year's, keeping to a steady rhythm of filming, editing, and walking the beaches. The days were simple, but they gave me space to think. I felt good about where I was and who I was, and I had a sense that I was finally starting to leave the past behind and move towards something new. On the night of the full moon solstice, the moon was high over the campground, casting its silver light over the hills and the sea. I stood alone beside my tent, looking up at the wide sky where the stars shone brightly. I knew that on a full moon it was ceremonious to release anything I carried from the past. Taking a deep breath, I spoke out loud. "It's time to let go of Pierre and stop holding on to the past," I whispered, my breath visible in the late night chill. I still felt like he was looking over my shoulder. I avoided dating, worried he would disapprove of any man I met. I knew that wasn't healthy, and even if I never dated again, I wanted to be free of this burden. I believed that the intensity that spilled out onto our relationship was all my fault, and I wanted to let go of these feelings. I knew that Pierre was fine to let me carry the responsibility for both of us, but now I was ready to put that down. I didn't know how I would do it on that night, but I believed in the power of the stars and the pull of the planets to help me manifest another way of being. Then I spoke again. "I'm ready to let go of the limiting belief that I cannot earn a living from teaching Tai Chi." My eyes stayed fixed on the moon. I didn't think that people wanted to pay to learn Tai Chi. I had seen how they practiced in the park for free. Most teachers I knew charged only a small amount as a hobby in their retirement. But I needed it to be different for me. I needed to make a living from this, not only because I was unemployable, but because I love to teach. I love to share my knowledge, and I love to help people learn and transform their bodies, health, and mind through this practice. I also needed the money to support myself, to support my kids, and to be free of the ties that bound me to Pierre. I spoke louder and bolder, with more conviction. I can make this work. I will teach, I will share, and I will make enough money to support myself. I lingered there under the moon, taking in the vastness of the southern hemisphere's west coast sky, and let my words sink into my body and soul. A few days later, I received a message from Emilie informing me that she slipped at work and injured her ankle. Needing time to recover, her friend's mother insisted that she take a break from her job at the crepe shop and come meet me. She bought a train ticket from Christchurch to Greymouth and asked me to pick her up. As much as I loved my daughter, I felt torn. A part of me didn't want to leave Gentle Annie's. The peaceful routine I had established, the solitude, and the slow pace of life were exactly what I needed. Reluctantly, I packed up my gear and set off for Greymouth, reminding myself that this was part of my growth too, learning to let go and move forward, even when it's hard.